Here at Be Freaking Awesome, we believe that life is too short to be anything less than extraordinary. Join us as we explore what it means to live authentically, grow continuously, and have a blast while doing it. Let's get started. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sammy Kinnison. I'm a communication coach who helps people get out of their own way and say what they mean to say.
My name is Angela Belford. I'm one of your co-hosts, and I am an executive coach that helps people get to the next level in a sustainable way that builds freedom and clarity.
We are a mother-daughter duo here to help answer the question, what does it take to live a freaking awesome life? And one of the things that we have seen a lot with the people we work with and in our own lives is there's a time where you are chasing a goal, and oftentimes I feel like this is associated with the kind of language, I'll just be okay when everything will work out once this happens. There's once I hit that goal, then I can relax. And unfortunately, what is all too common is we do it. We hit that goal, we finish the project, we get the promotion, and our inner critic does not actually change. It does not actually say, ta-da, we're all fine now, everything's good, we can all chillax and move on. It finds something new to say. It finds something new to have wrong with the situation. It might even get louder. And it's really complicated and not fun to deal with when that happens. This grass is not always greener. You get there and it's suddenly a manure smelling field because it's been fertilized all the time. So I don't know. What we want to talk about today is that nothing is wrong with you, but this is something that's just real. This is something that happens. Angela, this is touching on a lot of the notes from your latest book that you wrote, The Invisible Edge. And we're actually going to be doing a little bit of an arc, a couple of episodes specifically digging into some of the topics there. Can you tell us more for you why this is so important to talk about and why does it matter?
Yeah, I have so many thoughts that come up. I discovered this phenomenon, if you will, very early on, probably, I think I was 23, 24, something like that. I had actually joined Mary Kay Cosmetics and I worked really hard. And 12 months after I joined, I actually earned the use of a company car. We would have called it, we won the car. You don't win it. You work really hard and you achieve it. And one of the caveats is that Mary Kay pays everything except for gas and oil change. And if you want somebody on your insurance that's under 25, most people, that is their children, then you just pay $25 a month. No problem. I had to pay $25 a month for two of us because I won my car, earned my car before I turned 25. And I grumbled about that. And they were like, you earned a car before you were 25. Quit grumbling. But
if all you have to pay for insurance is $25 a month.
For sure. The thing is that I was so sure that when I earned that car, of course, when you walk into meetings, there's a certain uniform that you get to wear if you've earned a car. There is visible symbols of success all around. Everyone knows there's a pin, you're driving a car, it has a sticker on it that says, I want it, the whole thing. And I thought, surely when I win that car, I am going to feel so much better about myself. Achievement is the answer to this problem. And that didn't happen. I learned a lot about goal setting that year because I went to bed every single night, smelling the new car smell, imagining my party. I had a picture of that car right as I fell asleep. I can tell you all about how to program your conscious to get what you want. And it didn't change how I felt inside. And so I was like, well, no problem. Mary Kay is delightful in that they have another level of success, and it is the director. And that is where you have 30 people that you and they have recruited. And when I become a director, then I will feel successful. Also, I didn't plan my first child surely if I plan to have another baby and have another baby, I bet that will also help me feel successful because I won't have to play little kid games. So I did
What? You
both of
didn't
those
like playing
things.
little kid games with
Oh
me?
my gosh, 2-year-old. Oh, I loved you. I do not like 2-year-old games. Anyway, especially when I'm like, 24 years old, 23 years old. Anyway, so that next year I did. I had a baby and 3 weeks later completed qualification to become a director. Surely now I'm going to feel successful, right? No, it actually got worse. It got so much worse because I felt like an imposter. I felt like a fraud, all the things. And I subsequently, a year later, lost my directorship, had a nervous breakdown, ended up in therapy, literally was driven to an inpatient treatment center in a pink Cadillac. I did not earn the pink Cadillac, but my director did, where they rejected me because I didn't have insurance. Like, I mean, it was a whole journey. So I went to therapy and now I've unpacked the stuff in my head. Surely I will be successful. Fast forward 20 years, where I've spent 20 years like really driven for success, doing all the things. I'm now going to write a book. It's going to be called Be Freaking Awesome. And for the first time in 20 years, I have panic attacks again. And so it's just been a continual journey for me. So this is a long time coming. If you are like, oh, I've struggled with this for a couple of years, good on you. I have been through the trenches. I have been through this forest of fear and pain, and I can guide you through. And what I figured out is there is stuff that we plant in our body when things happen to us as children that um, change how we view the world. And you cannot continue to just wander through life with those beliefs planted in you. Well, actually, that's not true. You actually can wander through life with these beliefs planted. It is unlikely that you will feel as successful on the inside as you also feel on the outside, or as you
I
look
think
on the outside.
I think one of the things that is nuanced and complicated about that particular statement is that oftentimes you and I we will catch ourselves incorrect and somebody will be like, no, if you like you need to address these things. And they'll be like, actually pause. You don't need to. If
You
you
don't,
want to live a life that is less than intentional, if you don't mind being triggered by random things, if you don't mind the way that like your life is going, you don't actually need to one, what are you doing here listening to our podcast? Like you probably aren't
right?
somebody who's listening, but also to people who are listening, there are people in your life that are fine with where they are. They are
Yeah.
happy and content with the way things are going. And it's really hard. It's hard to convince somebody to take the blue pill or the red pill or whichever pill it is that lets you see past the matrix. You know, if you want to
Yeah.
just keep going, you can.
100%, because in my keynote I talk about the fact that these things have served us, right? So
Mm-hmm.
perfectionism serves us. We become, everybody loves how we are delivering and loves all the things. If we're a people pleaser, oh, everybody loves that they can, oh, you're going to always say yes, we're going to count on us. And it probably, you create connections and that may get you promotions. There's all sorts of benefits to it, to being a perfectionist, to being a people pleaser. Anyway, so that's what's really hard, is that there's benefits to these things. So people are like, whoa, I don't want to give them up because they paid off. And I'm like, yeah, uh-huh. But are you full of peace? Are you full of joy? Or are you exhausted? Are you not sure how you can possibly keep going? I just said to somebody this week, I was like, my coaching only works when someone's ready.
Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody comes to me and says, hey, my child is struggling and I'm willing to pay for you to coach them because they're struggling with this thing, it won't work. But if that child says, I'm so tired of this, the background noise in my head, the inner critic that is in my head, that is just every time I mess up, it beats me up and I just can't keep going. Then if they say, and my mom's willing to pay for my coaching, then it will work. But that you have to get to a point where it's not really working for you, or it's not working for you to get where you want to go. That's
Right.
the other thing, is like it
What
could have
is
gotten you
it?
to this level of success.
What is it that you say fine stands for? And somebody says, "Oh, I'm fine."
Fine, frustrated, freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and exhausted.
Yeah, fine.
You're
Just
fine.
casual.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I think is interesting is that um, we can have our inner critic running and telling us all sorts of things at whatever level of success we hit, whether we are like entry level, entrepreneur, owner level, all of the things. What seems to be the case often is that as you increase achievements and outwardly metrics of success, the volume continues to go up. It's almost like the pressure gets higher. You're
Yeah.
on a taller cliff and you have more opportunity to fall.
Yeah.
What's that about? Like why does that get worse the farther we go in this direction?
Right, because here we're chasing achievement, thinking achievement is going to make us feel better. And in fact, achievement is making us feel worse because there's more to lose. We are on a bigger stage. And that is because so much of these things come down to some of our core needs, like I belong. The reason why I belong is such a deeply ingrained belief, or I don't belong, is because our lizard brain, the oldest part of our brain, needed other humans to survive. When we are born, we need other humans to survive. So it is built into us. If your childhood is wrought with, someone yelling all the time, and that is very scary, and you're not sure, are they going to leave, or maybe they did leave, and then maybe your mom struggled because your dad left, and all these things, then it's like not belonging is literally feels life threatening
Mm.
in so many scenarios. And mostly people don't recognize it, that they're like, wait, no, that's silly, that's silly. And it's like, no, it's not silly, it's sort of how your brain works. And so because there's this piece that is left over from when dad left,
Mhm.
that it was like, no, it was literally dangerous. And so when we get to these higher levels, then we could lose status. We might literally lose our homes. If we get fired from our job, then we may not be able to make our mortgage payment. Like our little doom generator, impending doom generator, goes on high alert. Imposter syndrome goes crazy, all of these things, because all of it feels so dangerous and we don't feel safe in our own body.
Where I know that the work that we do is very body focused. That's not the right word, but like
Yeah.
we really take into account the fact that some of these things, because they are happening at that like almost subconscious level, what are the indicators that we can see something is going on? How how does that show up if so for somebody who like what does it mean to do somatic work or what does that mean
Right.
that
I
it's
had
showing up in your body?
I had somebody this week that they said, "Well, I've been to therapy, and so I've dealt with the emotional and the mental, and then I've done a lot of positive thinking work." And so they were like, they got into they found some book that basically introduced the idea of somatic work, and then when they read my book, they said, "Oh, Angela's book is somatic work meets business." And I'm
Mhm.
like, "Yes, thank you. I'm stealing that." That's exactly what we do, because here, okay, I want to back up to where I was trained, when I was trained to be a life coach, and the prevailing wisdom, and even I talked about it in Be Freaking Awesome, is that something happens, your thoughts occur, that thought creates a feeling, that feeling creates an action, and that action gives you a result. And Gandhi says it, like lots of people say this thing. But my hypothesis is that some of the time we are triggered and we have sensations that happen. Somebody says something or they do something, and there are sensations in our body before we even have cognitive thought about it, right? It's like the person, like we find out that our friends all went, we see on Instagram that a bunch of our friends went to celebrate somebody's birthday and we didn't get invited to that birthday lunch. And like instantly you feel this like clenching of your stomach, and like you may start sweating and you're like, wait, what the heck is happening? All of that is happening in your body before you even can recognize and figure out the conscious thought. Now, sometimes it's happening so fast that you then assign that sensation, and people will say in the middle of working with me, they're like, oh, I feel sad. Oh, I feel anxious. I'm like, that is your brain trying to make sense of what's happening. Tell me about the sensation in your body.
Hmm.
You are saying you feel sad. What is that? Where's that in your body? What's the sensation? Is that a churning in your stomach? Is that a clenching of your heart muscles? And I have to really like work hard to keep them out of their brain for most of the session, and then keep them in their body, because your body has got information, and it is wants to let you know what that information is so that you can cognitively, consciously decide, oh, is that actually how I want to believe the world works?
I think one of my favorite examples of what a sensation can be versus the label of it is
Mm,
before somebody goes up on stage to give a presentation for 1,000 people. They might have butterflies in their stomach. They might get a little bit sweaty. Their heart might be racing. And for one person, that can be fear of, I am afraid of what is going to happen. I'm getting really nervous and anxious. And for another person, that could be excitement. Like, this is a big deal. I'm excited to get to go on stage, and my body is ready, is in an activated state so I can perform my best. And the label that we put on it of anxious or excited, it can still be the same adrenaline feelings
hmm
that's going through our body. It's not always the label that we think.
right,
It doesn't have to be that, particularly. So
right,
that's my favorite example of why it's really helpful to understand, no, the things happening to your body, are you still safe? Then your
yeah,
heart's racing. Yeah, probably.
yeah,
Unless you're having a heart attack, and then maybe you're not safe. But that's a little bit different. That's too much adrenaline.
hmm
So when we're combining what is the sensations that are happening in our body plus the beliefs that are buried and going through that, what do you see as some of the like most common
expressions,
pitfalls, expressions, that's a better way to say it, that are
yeah,
coming up for folks?
yeah. So the most common, I feel pretty universally, most of us struggle with at some degree, from one degree to another, is I'm not good enough, or I'm not enough. The When this is the belief that's running, some of the less impactful, it could be procrastination, it could be undercharging, it could be wanting approval, making sure that you're always getting approval from other people. When it gets more intense, it could look like perfectionism, over preparation. I can't delegate this because if I delegate and they mess up, then then it will be tragically bad. So often it is, what I hear people saying is, I know what to do, I can't make myself do it.
Mm.
Right? So even when you're procrastinating, you know what you're supposed to be doing, but you can't make yourself do that thing.
I think one of the like craziest, but also now it feels obvious lessons I learned is that procrastination is a form of perfectionism, is a
Mm,
symptom of perfectionism, and that there is a, if I wait till the last minute and then it's not perfect, I at least had an excuse of why it wasn't perfect. And it's like, wait, no, that's not perfectionism. Perfectionism is doing everything exactly right the whole time. And it's like, yes, but perfectionism is also finding ways to set up excuses so that you don't have to sit with the what feels like uncomfortable moment to say, well, what if I'm actually not enough? Like, what if I'm
Mm.
not actually enough? And when you like sitting with that feels more terrifying. So why not set up enough things to be like, oh, well, nobody on my team was helping me, even though you had people who you could have easily delegated to. I
Mhm.
had all of these projects going on, so I couldn't get it done perfectly. These are all excuses that our brain finds to make it safer than facing what feels like, what if it's true that I am not?
Mm. I would say that I've recently started saying this. People will be like, I offered to help you. And I'm like, yes. And I have to be very organized and know exactly where I'm going to be able to delegate work. So there are some times where there are legitimate reasons why I don't delegate work that are not related to I'm not enough, but they're related to don't I'm not prioritizing the time to figure out what all I need so that I can give it to you. It feels simpler, faster, easier to just do this thing myself. And I think that's where all of this is that I have said recently that if someone was observing me, a little alien following me around in 2011, 12, 13, and then following me around the last 2 years, they would say, oh, this is a definition of a workaholic. And I'm like, it's not though. In 2011, 12, 13, absolutely, I was a workaholic. And it had to do with what was driving me. It had to do with how I felt about myself, how I treated myself. And maybe it's hard to remember exactly. Maybe people that were close to me at that point could have noticed the difference between then and now because I would as grumpy as I get now, I think it used to be worse. And as harshly as I judged myself, then I judged everyone else slightly less harshly, still pretty terribly. And I have much more compassion for myself now, which ironically gives me more energy and gives me the ability to work towards something instead of trying to outrun the belief I'm not enough. And so I still work a lot. I like working. I like it. I did it building my business. I did it when I was at the housing authority. I'm doing it now. I like it. I was talking with a friend of mine and I was like, if I look back over the last 2 or 3 years, whenever I was working hard on my book, that's what I'm talking about. Whenever I'm building my business, that's what I'm talking about. When I first went to work for real estate developer on staff instead of just as a consultant, that's what I'm talking about. Like, and I had clients that used to say, like, just hiring Angela as your marketing consultant will do better for your business because she can't help it. She will talk about the work that she's doing. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, I do have lots of hobbies. I do have lots of things that I do. And I don't end up talking about those as much for various reasons. And so I know that I feel different. I know that I'm better at resting. I know that I'm better at recognizing when I need rest. I know I'm better at the voice in my head that will urge me to live up to my own standards of excellence. It is not about people pleasing anymore. It is about making sure that I have decided who I want to be and then working to that standard of excellence, which sounds similar to constantly chasing and trying to prove stuff to yourself, but it is so nuanced difference because when you're constantly trying to prove to yourself that you're enough, you always are moving the goalpost. You're not celebrating, you're always moving, oh, and well, okay, I could do this a little bit better, I could do this a little bit better, and there's not a celebration. Whereas the other way, I do still recognize things like, oh, you know what, in the next iteration I want to do this. Here's phase 2, here's phase 3. So I'm still committed to excellence, but it is decoupled from how I feel about myself.
I like that. I feel like, well, one, I really can't get my out of my head that you have an alien following you around. I feel like a documentary crew is a little bit more like realistic, but
Well, it's funny that you say that because in Invisible Edge, I do talk about two crews. They're always following you around. One of them is recording the positive, and one of them is recording the negative. and we get to decide which one, which crew we're gonna listen to.
Yeah, it's
I
absolutely
should
true.
probably have stayed on brand instead of talking about an alien.
Nah, it's fine, whatever. Um, we talk about this a lot, though, of what does your internal motivation does matter for what you're doing, and you can be doing something, and it can be a good thing for you to do on paper, and if your motivation isn't quite right, if your heart's not quite right on it, it's not the best. And it's hard to do that work sometimes because there's not somebody else who can say, here's your rubric, here's your scoreboard. It
Yep.
really takes self-awareness and the willingness to look inside, and to accept where you're at, and to sort of own that. Are there any other, I don't know, variations, expressions you said that you wanted to talk about?
Well, I think that so many
You
of the
can say,
expressions are simply indicator lights. And
mhm.
so it's like if your gas light, if you have a, you have a car that when the gas gets low, the light pops on, there's a little warning that says you've got 45 miles until you're empty. There's nothing wrong with that. That does not
Mhm.
mean it's not tragic. It doesn't mean you have to throw away your car. It just means you got to go
Imagine that.
refuel.
Imagine if every time you ran out of gas, you're like, well, that's it. Got to go buy a new car.
Yeah. And
An
so
oil
it just
change?
means you,
Nope. New car. Transmission
yeah,
flush? New car.
right. And so this, in the same way, like we can add on a bunch of feelings about our feelings. Like, oh,
Mm.
this is so terrible. I'm still struggling with perfectionism. Or you could say, wow, I still got more to learn on my perfectionism journey. I'm still learning. I suspect, well, and I say all the time, we arrive in the coffin, and until then, we are on a journey. And so it is, the expressions are, for me, it is when something happens that I don't like how I feel about it, right? So, like, if somebody says something and I get like activated, then I'm like, why is that? What is that? What's the problem with that? And um, sometimes I get activated because I'm tired of fighting the same fight with someone, and it's like, okay, fine, I'm just going to have to give up. And then other times I do try to look at it, and even if I'm not, if I don't want to fight with this person anymore, can I get to that point without it being a big nervous system response? And I know we will have a nervous system response. I would say that at one point in my journey I was dreamed of the idea that I could always stay calm. But I would say now that what my actual goal is the recovery time. Like, how long does it take for me to reset? So I have, a big upset. Can I reset in 15 minutes, 15 hours? Does it take
Hmm.
15 days where I wallow? And I think that for me it's how quickly can you reset and move to the next thing. So
BBA, bounce back ability.
bounce back ability.
I think that the the underlying tone here that is complicated and advanced work is that the beliefs in and of themselves, recognizing that they are protection responses, that there
Yep.
is something in us that is trying to be protected, and we don't necessarily, like with our inner critic, we can't just fire our inner critic and say, you're done, I'm out, I'm not doing this anymore. No, it's saying thank you. Thank you for keeping me safe. Thank you for trying to protect me from the danger of not belonging, of not being enough, of not whatever it is. And the risk is still of doing this thing and risking that maybe I'm going to be told I don't belong. It's still worthwhile, and putting out good work, even though I might get rejected, and engaging in hard conversations because I might end up with richer relationships, but I might end up with people mad at me. It's worthwhile. And so it's not about judging the beliefs or judging ourselves when these beliefs pop up, but it is about seeing when they're not serving you in the same way that they once did, and then deciding, like, okay, how am I going to continue to step forward?
I love that. I'm so excited that we're going to get to dive into this. In when we did Traveling Light, I kind of dove into the book as it was coming out and a little bit before it was coming out. And this time I wanted to kind of let it be out there for a few weeks and let people get a chance to read it and then kind of dive into it after I'd kind of heard and seen their response. So,
Mm-hmm.
which by the way are amazing. I love getting the texts and Facebook messages or LinkedIn messages of people that are really reading the book and oh my goodness, I resonate so much with this character. Oh, this
Mm.
character. Yesterday I was visiting with somebody who was like, "Oh, I'm so Roman," and I'm like, "I'm not supposed to have favorites, but I love Roman because he's such a skeptic," and I love working on the skeptic. So anyway, I'm delighted for you guys to be on this journey. We're going to talk about this for a couple of different episodes, and let us know what you think and how you feel about this.
If you'd like, you can also go purchase Angela's book. I'll say it for her. It's available on Amazon, and you can listen to the audiobook in a couple places. Spotify Premium has it for free if you have that level of account. We'll make sure that it's easy for you to access in the show notes. And we're looking forward to continuing this series with you all. Until next time, everyone, we hope you guys go be freaking awesome.